Doctor and Call comes to you compliments Hills and Valley Pharmacy and the Spice Isle Imaging Center. Good evening once again, and welcome to another Doctor on Call. It is a pleasure, as always, to be here with you, and of course, Dr. Nixon is with us. We welcome all our viewers on GBN Television 711, our listeners on K105 FM, and our friends on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. It is, again, a pleasure, and we welcome you. Of course, we will be hearing from you a little later on in the program with your questions or comments. But, of course, our discussion this evening will focus on cancer awareness with some emphasis on breast cancer. Yeah, we know the month of October, as we established last week, is quite a busy one as it relates to health awareness. And one of the areas has to do with cancer awareness. So it is a good time to welcome Doc. Doc, good evening. How are you? And it's a pleasure to have you back.
Well, good evening. It is a pleasure to be here on a night when it's not so hot.
Well, that's good.
We are grateful for the rain, and we know that the farmers are happy. It's falling in good amounts, and hopefully there'll be food, lots of food, because there has been a scarcity of local produce.
Yes, indeed.
So hopefully we can, be eating out of green fig and plantain and yam and
as we say, some provision.
Some provision and some vegetables, cabbage.
Yes.
I mean, that's some nice pumpkin. I got a pumpkin for one of my friends that, oh, glory, hallelujah, pumpkin, because I like my pumpkin hard and dry. And it's just absolutely perfect. It's my provision.
Let me tell you, I love pumpkin anyhow. It doesn't matter what you do with it. I just enjoy pumpkin.
For me, you don't have to do anything. I just steam my pumpkin and eat it, whatever else is there.
Oh, yeah, pumpkin.
So it's like, for me, it's my provision. I don't like pumpkin soup. I don't like those other things. So.
And I love pumpkin soup. I mean, I think pumpkin soup is, in fact, if you ask me, I say, God bless pumpkin soup. Pumpkin soup came straight from heaven.
Okay.
Yes, indeed. So, Doc, tonight, of course, as we said last week, October, quite a busy one as it relates to health awareness, and so we want to put some emphasis tonight, of course, on breast cancer, because it is one of the very common types of cancer, especially...
Well, that's why I'm wearing my pink shirt with my pink ribbon. I'm really pinking it out, okay?
Especially among women. And it's so important because, as we always say, many of these illnesses can be controlled and in some cases be cured, once you can catch them early. And that's why it's so important to do your screening. So, Doc, I know you love to speak about these topics, especially when it comes to conditions that we can prevent and cure. So I am going to let you take it away.
Hey. So again, good evening, Grenada. And as Godfrey was saying, there are a lot of things we are being reminded of. It's not just one day. We had mental health awareness last week and taking it into the workplace. But we always have to be reminded. And I was talking to a group of students today about mental health as an intimate component of public health practice. Mm-hmm. How we look at the well-being of the entire population. And sometimes, and probably not until COVID-19 came and we saw the effect of that big trauma on the world population, the isolation, the death, the lack, the loss, the marginalization or further marginalization of people that we realized, hey, people couldn't go out. They couldn't talk to their friends. They couldn't sit with their girlfriends and commiserate or say what was bothering them. There was no longer schools where teachers could give children comfort. Kids were exposed to more abuse, whether it's physical, sexual, neglect, whatever it was, in the homes. Older people, we had problems with with just accessing material goods. Shops were closed. People weren't working. There was people were insecure as per their financial and economic and financial future. Would I be able to pay my mortgage? Would I be able to pay for my car? Would I be able to pay my children's school fees? And often just really basic things that we were very unsure of, simply because COVID separated us. And that was one of the big trauma. But today we want to think about places like in Palestine and now in Lebanon and the other Far Eastern countries that have been bombarded by Israel. Try to imagine, I'm going to go on an average 100,000, although it's probably a lot more than that, people killed. And a lot of people have seen those 100,000 people die, right? Seen hundreds of people die around you. Seen your parents die. Seen your brother, your sister. And these are little children. So we think of all the trauma. So the truth is we always have to be mindful of the issue when it comes to the issue of trauma and mental health. Or mental health in general. So it's not just one day. And we talked about somebody comes to work and they're kind of out of it, and the workplace is probably a good place for healing, because it's a place like in school where people spend a lot of time, where they have people with whom they can identify as per what do we do that is similar. And often there's more similarity than difference. And so we really need to keep focusing daily on the issue of mental health within a whole population, mental wellness. You can have mental health, you can have mental illness, you can have schizophrenia and depression and anxiety and other stuff, but being able to keep well enough to do your daily duty, to be productive, to keep your relationship going, to take care of other people, to even take care of yourself is very important as a component of mental wellness, right? So it's not that it's not just the absence of disease, it's the fact that you're able to function.
That's right. Yeah.
And we see intimacy among all areas of illness. On Thursday of this week, Dr. Matthias is going to speak on cancers and the relationship with other chronic disease like diabetes and hypertension, because it's just one big person. And so we take them out in little packages for simplification so we can share information, but it's just one body.
That's right.
It's just one human being, or just one group of people, or one population, all sharing similar challenges. So when there's stress doesn't just affect your brain or your head, it will affect all the rest of your body functions and response to the environment in which it's. If you're in the environment, and we've been talking a lot about environment, especially in relation to climate change. So when that happens, right, it's not just your skin burns or you get dehydrated. Your kidney functions may be affected.
Yeah.
Your diabetes may be affected. And if you have diabetes, it will affect how your kidney functions and how your brain functions and all the rest, and your heart. And if you have depression, that's driving all of that. So we really are just one body with a lot of challenges to keep that harmony in all components. So looking at one thing at a time makes it simple, but everything works. Like when you're cooking soup, everything's in there. Yeah, you like the young blogger. Yeah, you like the pigtail or the chicken back, whatever you put in there, right? Or the dumpling or the split peas or the green peas or whatever you put in there. But the truth is, it's just one soup, okay? One soup. Hi, Denise. So let's look at cancer in general. And I'm going to just say a few things in relation to Grenada. And the more I become involved with other people in cancer in the Caribbean, realize that it is really a big challenge for us. We have seen a rise in the amount of people who not just have cancer, who die from cancer.
Yeah.
And so we have to figure out what can be the things, what are the interventions we can put in place to ensure that people do not die from cancer. In the case of women, breast cancer is the most common cause of cancer death in Grenadian women. In the case of men, prostate cancer is the most common cause of cancer death in men. And we know that men can also have breast cancer because they have some breast tissue. Might be a few, but they can also have breast cancer. Women do not have prostate, so they don't have to worry about prostate cancer. The bottom line is that we are going to have to modify not only the way we live, but the way we seek care and seeking early care. Simply because we don't know what it is, what are the factors, what triggers it off, or when it's going to be triggered.
Mm-hmm.
When the match is going to catch a fire and your house is going to burn down. We don't know that. What we do is make sure you don't have a lot of bush around the house, dry cocoa leaf, dry grass, old paint peeling off the wall that will catch easy, too much synthetic clothing. The things you can do to lessen the chance of there being a devastating fire. So, we probably should start with nutrition. I wish Mrs. Brown was here. Every time I think about nutrition, I think of Mrs. Brown. And like we mentioned in the beginning, the whole issue of having our usual indigenous foods, the thing that we grow and accustomed to. Corn made out of caracou.
Mm-hmm.
Right? From locally grown corn over decades, hundreds of years, caracou has grown its own corn. Seeds from the corn that they produce, so that's caracou corn. Right? Green bananas, green fig, fruits. It's November almost, and I haven't seen very much golden apples. Right? By now, golden apples start to drop one.
I do have quite a lot by me.
Okay.
Well, on my tree, yeah, it's loaded actually.
They ripen already?
They're just starting to.
All right, so bring a bucket. Hello. But the truth is, we have to still, as far as possible, focus on what we're consuming. One of the things that came up today for me was the issue of how much disaster can cause further disaster. So, for example, when we had the challenge in Caracou and Petit Martinique and Northern Grenada of burial, and there was food challenge. There was challenge for people having food. They had their homes destroyed, all their property destroyed. Caracou specifically because it doesn't have a province right next door. You can just walk over next door and get your stuff. It had to be gotten from outside. St. Vincent had its own problem. All of the Grenadines that are close to Caracou. So Grenada had to find itself taking food up. What did we take? We never had no fig. We never had no blogger. We never had no breadfruit.
We didn't.
So we took packaged food, ultra-processed foods. How long do we want to give that to our children before they start having malnutrition? How long do we want to give them before they start having deficiency of iron and all of those things? And the things that keep our bodies in balance. How long do we want to give? Yes, we took a lot of water, but people are still drinking a lot of sugar-sweetened beverages because with no light, you have to have something that cannot deteriorate, that can't spoil, right? So people drinking sodas and they're making Kool-Aid and stuff that you can consume now in order to keep cool. And it has been very hot, so people need to have beverages to keep them cool. So all of these things we have to consider. How do we stop the problems down in the end, okay? Right. Because we know that our nutrition state will contribute to whether we can prevent ourselves from disease, and specifically cancer in this case. So you probably want to ask, what's cancer? But you know what is cancer already, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'll remind you. So we're born with a finite amount, whatever amount of small units in your body called cells, whether it's your heart cells or your kidney cells or your brain cells. What you're born with is that's what you have. The only organ in the human body that can make itself over, if part of it is removed, is your liver.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you see lizard tail grow back?
Yeah.
You never
Yeah, it does. Mm-hmm.
I know, you murderous Grenadian children. But the point is that that's called regeneration. Tissue can regenerate. And the only organ that can do that is your liver. So whatever you're born with, you're born with. And your body replenishes, some cells die, you get new cells. But sometimes the switch goes bad. and what you have is an overproduction of cells, right? These cells not only limit themselves to the organ that they come from, but they spread to other tissues, right? They can spread within that organ and make the organ not function as well as it should, right? Function too little or too much. And also they can spread to organs nearby and stop and harm and change how those organs function. And then they can go even further. So you may have a cancer that forms in your let's say uterus or prostate, right? That eventually will spread, will grow using your lymphatic system up to your lung and your brain. And that is what causes severe illness and death, because these cancers just grow. And on top of it, they want everything you eat, okay? Like growing children, they need a lot of food. We're seeing that people who consume a lot of sugar-sweetened beverages, sweet stuff, right, who have cancer, we see that it is claimed that though the sugar feeds the cancer. Yes, it does, because it's instant glucose, it's instant energy, right? If we stop, you might have some starvation, but I don't know of any research that shows that, if you stop eat sugar, that your cancer would reverse, would die, okay? Because it will consume other things that you eat anyway, which ultimately turns to glucose. So that's cancer. Cells of a specific organ, in the first instance, growing abnormally, triggered by something or the other, okay? What are some of the risk factors common to all cancers? We know that tobacco smoking. Smoking tobacco use of tobacco in general is one of the factors, and the nicotine in tobacco is one of the factors that cause us to develop cancer. We know that people who smoke tobacco, of the people who smoke tobacco, 50%, half of them will die either from a cancerous disease or some disease related to their heart and blood vessels, or they'll have diabetes or other diseases, okay? Dementia, you name it. But I can tell you that nicotine, tobacco in particular, will cause you to will take away 50% of its friends for itself, okay? Can cause us to have severe disease, especially cancers, and die. And that is in both genders in adult phase. Now, there are two other factors that have been coming up a lot. One is obesity, overweight. And we've seen how obesity has become such a prevalent, highly present factor among our population. We look at our young women, we look at our children, and a lot of it comes from the diet that we've been using. Very, very highly processed foods. We like rice, we like pasta, we like, as we say, sweet drinks, and we like fast food. White potato is the biggest enemy, I think, when it comes to putting on weight and stuff. We like it. It tastes nice, and I'm not saying if you want to have it once in a while, but a lot of us really indulge a little too often. Crackers and all those processed foods, snacks, that we buy in the supermarket. And while they may be convenient, they don't necessarily provide the nutrients that is required. And on top of it, we eat so much to satisfy our needs that we eventually, all the carbohydrates that turn to glucose will eventually turn to fat and make us overweight and eventually obese, meaning that you're 35% above the weight that you're expected to weigh for your height. Okay? So nutrition, and specifically obesity, is a second characteristic. And the third characteristic I'm going to mention tonight, in relation to cancers in general, is alcohol.
That's a big one.
More and more, the studies are showing that alcohol consumption, right, is very intimately related to the appearance of cancers in our body. And I'm going to say this for the 10th, 15th time on this station. In young women, we have seen that the consumption of alcoholic beverages, alcohol in general, has contributed significantly to the early appearance of breast cancer in our women. Okay? So I'm forewarning. Alcohol is very available here in Grenada and in the rest of the Caribbean.
Yes.
There's no problem. Do you know that we in the Caribbean consume 40% of the alcohol that we produce? It is said that the Caribbean produces among the best, if not the best, flavor quality of alcohol. But we can share it around so
what
we
is
don't have to
it?
drink so much.
Does alcohol have flavor? It's
Yeah, it does. It does.
well, yeah,
Nice.
there are some flavored
I could call brands that don't taste so hot.
yeah,
Right?
I guess they are
So
flavored. They are flavored
the
brands.
alcohol is it's satisfying to the palate.
Doc, just hold it there. There's a caller who's been trying to get onto us from the start. Let's just see what's happening there. Doctor on call. Good evening. Hello. Oh, well, there we go. All right.
All right, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So those three component things I want us to take into consideration. Alcohol is very prevalent. We start drinking quite young, right? So much so we have to talk about alcohol control in our younger population. It is actually legal to give alcohol, to procure, to buy for, to give, to encourage to drink, right? In persons under the age of 18. It is illegal and it's enforceable by law, except that, we have so much other things we don't think of that. But I think it's something that we have to take on as a moral responsibility to our young people and their future health, right? The whole consumption of alcohol. Today I read an article, I was looking at a video and this guy talking about the effect of alcohol on your brain. 1 minute article. It was so impactful. How just drink, especially beers.
Mm-hmm.
And how beers, because it has all of that, it comes from wheat. And they've been asking us not to use wheat. This is a guy who's a neurobiologist. He focusing on diseases of the brain, right? And development of the brain and issues of the brain. And he's saying that wheat is known to not be good for us generally. So often the people who are very serious about what we consume will tell us don't have any wheat. So don't have wheat flour, don't have wheat dumpling, don't have wheat nothing, right? On top of it, wheat provides gluten, and gluten can have its own effect on the body of human beings. So crackers, snacks, everything that has wheat. If you see the wheat in there, you know that it provide gluten and have challenges with moving your bowels, which can contribute to changes in your bowels and cancer and all the rest of it. So let's talk about breast cancer because it's still October, and before October is over, we need to have focus on it again. Breast cancer is represented by those changes that occur in the breast tissue, right? Where your breast tissue starts growing abnormally. No, you can have other things happening in your breast that is not cancer.
Right.
But cancer, if left untreated, is going to kill you. Cancer, if left untreated, is going to kill you. And so it is important that we be aware. Who must be aware? If you're a female, women, right, are the ones at highest risk for breast cancer. We're not saying that men can, but if you're a girl, if you're a female, you are at greater risk. If you are between the ages of 45 and 55, that is a time when breast cancer tends to show itself up. It does not say that you can't get breast cancer at 32 or younger.
Right.
It does not say you can't get breast cancer at the age of 90.
Right. Doc,
75.
let's just try that caller again and see if we can get it.
Okay.
Doctor and call, good evening. Hello. Hello. All right.
Maybe the person's calling from a cell phone has given trouble, as cell phones have been doing for the last few days.
All right.
Ask them to text you the question.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, we're talking breast. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So females between the ages of 45 to 55, and like I said, it doesn't say that it doesn't mean that if you're younger than 45, you're not going to get breast cancer. Because I've seen younger people die in their 30s from breast cancer, and I've seen older people over 60 and 70 be diagnosed with breast cancer. Right? Female age, if you started your period very early, you're at greater risk. And it has to do with your whole hormonal regulation. Or if you've stopped having periods very late, if you got to your menopause very late, there's an increased risk. If you drink, if you smoke, if you're exposed to environmental, some of the toxins that we have, like in the homes and stuff, radiation, you have increased risk. if you have been on hormone replacement therapy, although they're looking at that again, but if you've been on hormone replacement therapy, we have seen that there was, in fact, an increase. And that hormone replacement therapy happened when, if a woman has her abdominal, her reproductive system modified by surgery, you remove the uterus and you remove the ovaries, the women go into immediate menopause. And menopause is not cute for some people. It can be very disgusting. The women among us who have been, or the gentlemen who have seen their partners go through menopause and become crazy people.
Doc, while you're on this, let me just ask a question. So you, well, a couple, and let me just take them in stages. So the first one, you said people women who start their period very early, the risk is a little more. When we speak about early here, give us a range in terms of age.
So you should have your period around 10, 11, around 11, 12, 13. Some people start at 9 and 10. There's a thing called precocious periods which happen in much, much younger girls, but that is rare. It does happen, but in much, much younger girls. But girls who start at period 9, 10 and stuff are considered to be at risk.
Okay.
Women who go into menopause after 55, 60 are considered to be at risk.
Okay. All right.
If you have not had children, if you've never been pregnant, that's also considered a risk factor. Or if you've had children but have not breastfed, that's also considered to be a risk factor.
Okay. So yeah, my other question had to do with menopause. If someone, let's say if a woman, let's say for whatever reason, maybe multiple fibroids, in the whole reproductive system, had to do that surgery and remove the uterus or whatever it is. Did you mention that they go into menopause immediately, or when they get to the normal age of menopause, even if they do not have the organs, can they still go through that?
So menopause is a cessation of the period.
Okay.
When you no longer have a period. So if you remove the organ that provides like the uterus, if they have fibroids or whatever, if you remove the organ that makes a period, that's menopause. Albeit surgical, sometimes premature, because there are women who would have hysterectomies but who don't have a period anymore. So if you have removed if you have created a surgical menopause, an artificial menopause, once there's no uterus, there'd be no period.
Right, but I understand that there'd be no period, but menopause, is there a hormonal aspect of that can actually still come on at the menopausal age?
So are you asking me if women can still feel normal?
So for example, when some women, when they're going through menopause, they may have a difficult time. They have the hot flashes, they become moody, they become depressed. A lot of different, things happen.
Scenarios.
Yeah. So what I'm asking, and all of these that I mentioned, it has a lot to do with the hormones. So if the uterus is removed, right, and you're no longer having a period, let's say at around age 30-something, for whatever reason, when you get to like age, up in the 40s, in the 50s, where you would normally...
You mean when you would have had your true menopause?
Yeah, your true menopause. These hormonal changes, so for example, can they still experience like the mood swings and all the different kind of things that go on with your body?
There are two scenarios here. Sometimes when you remove the uterus, you can have a total hysterectomy where you remove the uterus and the ovaries. Right. Remember, the ovaries are the eggs, are the ones that are going to produce the hormones.
Right.
So sometimes they remove the ovaries. Right? That's a woman who may have had ovarian cancer. They will remove it. If she has polycystic ovaries that's causing other challenges, they remove it. So even if they do not remove the uterus in that case, right, they would have removed the ovaries because of whatever pathology that existed, whatever sickness that existed on the ovaries. And the ovaries are the one that regulate whether or not you have a period. The uterus is the factory, but you need the engine room, you need the the computer room to make it, to generate it. And the ovaries do that. What happens now, that's one scenario, right? The other scenario is where you have a hysterectomy, but all of the ovary is not, they might leave a piece of ovary in, so you can go through as close to normal as possible, that slow menopause, right? However, if the doctor takes everything, you will have this no estrogens, you have challenges to control your temperature regulation and all the stuff that you would get in a stepping down as the ovaries become less and less functional, will come all of a sudden. So, so does that explain?
Yes. I'm still kind of.
So if you have, for you to...
So the main hormones, so the main hormones that are involved in menopause are what? Estrogen, basically? Or the entire endocrine system?
Yes, but you have other hormones,
right,
which really worked with the cycle for you to have a period. Okay, so the progestogens will elevate just as the period about to come and all the rest of it. When you remove the ovary, you remove everything. If you remove both ovaries, you remove everything. Right. Because that's where all the hormones for the female reproductive system that control the activities in a female reproductive system. That's where all the hormones are from the ovaries.
But okay.
So once you remove all the ovaries, you would have this sudden onset menopause. If you don't, or if you never ever had surgery, the menopause is a little slower, and it could be intolerant, but not as intolerant if you just take it off.
Okay. So as you go down in age, with the removal, as you go down in age, or as you get closer to menopausal age, your endocrine system will not. In other words, the different feelings won't come into play anymore. Or they can still come.
Still, if you take away all the ovaries, if you leave a little piece, that might work for you. Until you get to what we call the true menopause, the age where it would have stopped working anyway.
Okay. All right. Okay. I got you. Wonderful. Right.
And I hope this is clear to the people out there.
Yeah.
So women who have late menopause or very early periods are also at risk. Women who don't breastfeed, who have never had children, or who are also at risk. Those are most of the risk factors. And remember, I keep saying women. Men can also have breast cancer. Very few men will. If you have breast tissue, you have to examine it all the time. Okay?
All right.
So those are the people who are at greater. Oh no, I forgot a very important thing. If you have family, your sister, your mother, your aunties, whether it's your father's sisters or your mother's sisters, with breast cancer, there's an increased likelihood. And of course, if you share the genes, which can be determined by genetic thing. So if you have a family history. And of course, guess what? If you've had breast cancer before, you can have breast cancer again. So family and a personal history of having had breast cancer are all risk factors, are all things that can contribute to you having breast cancer.
Right. Doc, we have a very interesting question here that I think you need to address. Someone is asking, good night, Godfrey and Doc. Are we saying that whole wheat flour is not good for us? If so,
yes.
Can I use it? I switched from white flour to wheat. So they're looking for clarification.
White flour is wheat. White flour is washed wheat.
Yeah. But the flour with the bran and so, is there a difference there, or what about the gluten?
You still have the components that will create gluten. You might have a little more fiber, but you still have the core that will create gluten. So there's a lot of talk against the people who are very focused on what they consume. If you have, especially like if you have allergy, you always have snot, and you always have
the mucus.
All of that awful mucus. Get off flour and get off milk products, and you would see the difference.
Right. Okay. So, but the I mean, just to satisfy the listener, the whole wheat, does it sort of lessen the amount of gluten?
I can't really answer that, and maybe it does volume for volume, right? Because you would have other things like if you have whole wheat, you do have some fiber.
Right.
So if you had a pound of white flour and a pound of whole wheat flour, you may have a little less of the component that provides gluten, that will create gluten, taken into. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't affect you.
Okay. All right. Wonderful.
I hope that answers the question. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. So, folks, the number is 435-2041. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to, engage you or comments. You can always post your question on our Facebook page or on our WhatsApp. The number is the same, 435-2041. So you can post a question in our WhatsApp chat, or you can give us a call, 435-2041. So, Doc, let's take a short break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to engage our callers and continue with our discussion. Stay with us, folks. We'll be back with you in just a moment.
Tourism is me, tourism is you, tourism is everybody, and tourism connects us all.
Did you know that tourism generates revenue and foreign exchange earnings?
Did you know it stimulates infrastructural development and facilitates cultural exchange among people?
You must know tourism is linked to all industries,
from agriculture to construction.
So support the industry today and be welcoming to all our visitors.
Tourism is my business. Tourism is your business. Tourism is our business. Listen, one and all. Tourism connects us all.
A message from the Ministry of Tourism
and the Grenada Tourism Authority.
Win a living room makeover with Quartz Ready Cash. One lucky winner will get a chance to win a living room makeover with any cash loan. No security required. And affordable monthly payments. It's quick, easy, and hassle-free. Visit one of our locations for more information about getting your Ready Cash loan today. This month is all about you with Quartz Ready Cash. Ready when you are. Terms and conditions apply.
This song is dedicated to all heroes and patriots who fall.
A nation rises one more time to remember and honor our martyrs and our heroes. This proud nation, nurtured by their blood and sweat, comes together for another Heroes Day on Saturday, October 19th, with a special ceremony at Progress Park from 9:30 a.m. Citations and prayers, as well as cultural presentations and speeches by many, including 2 Prime Ministers. Our Prime Minister, Deacon Mitchell, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister, Dr. Ralph Gonzalez. Cultural presentations by the National Folk Group, Vinway, Wizard, Squaller, Nicole Newton Fletcher, and more. It's going to be both solemn and commemorative, and we will come together and call our heroes by their names on Heroes Day, Saturday, October 19th at Progress Park, starting at 9:30 a.m.
Are you looking for a reliable, affordable, and customer-friendly pharmacy? Look no further than Hills and Valley Pharmacy, the nation's leading healthcare products and services provider. We are committed to serving you at convenient locations. Find an extensive and affordable selection of prescription and over-the-counter drugs and medical supplies at Church Street, Hillsborough, Carriacou, Jubilee Street, Grenville, St. Andrew, near the bus terminal, and Halifax and Grenville Street, St. George. Our committed team is always available to offer valuable assistance for managing your health and wellness. Discover the additional benefits of our wholesale distribution on Halifax Street and our Medcare Center on Grenville Street, where we provide in-house physiotherapy, massage therapy, doctor consultations, and eye care services. Our commitment is to satisfy all your healthcare needs, including competitive prices, loyalty rewards, and special discounts for seniors. Contact us at 435-6904 and WhatsApp 535-4734. Choose Hills and Valley Pharmacy. Remember, your health is our business.
Have you heard about the new Softweave bathroom tissue with total hygiene? As hygiene and safety have taken center stage, our bathroom tissue is now manufactured with 3 different technologies to offer the best protection for you and your family. UVC light technology for a safe and effective disinfection process, eliminating 99.9% of microorganisms. Also, production at high temperatures, killing all types of germs and bacteria. And it's pH controlled with delicate fibers to prevent irritation for even sensitive skin. Softweave Total Hygiene Bathroom Tissue. Available in supermarkets and shops island-wide. Visit Softweave Caribbean Facebook or Instagram pages for more information.
All of Grenada is invited to be a part of the National Heroes Day commemoration on Saturday, October 19th, 2024 at Progress Park in St. Andrew from 9:30 a.m. to 12 midday. National Heroes Day will be commemorated under the theme Unity in commemorating our heroes, past, present, and future. Speakers at the National Heroes Day commemoration will include the Honorable Deacon Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada, and the Honorable Ralph Gonzalez, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. An exciting and entertaining cultural package will form part of the celebrations. Organize your groups now and let's make this a most memorable event in recognition of the sacrifices and achievements of our national heroes. Free transportation will be provided. National Heroes Day Commemoration 2024, Saturday, October 19th, Progress Park in St. Andrew.
May I have your attention, please? This is a message from IMCORT, an initiative under Caritas Grenada. We are geared on improving community resilience together. Let's prepare for the hurricane season.
First things first, let us talk about the basic emergency supplies that you may need during a disaster preparation. You don't need to buy expensive gears. Just focus on the essentials. Here are a few items that you may need. Water. Aim for at least 1 gallon per person daily for at least 3 days and store them in clean, food-graded containers. Purchase non-perishable foods like canned food, dry pasta, peanut butter, etc. Ensure to have enough food supply for at least 3 days. First aid kit. Ensure that your first aid kit has bandages, antiseptics, pain relievers, and any prescribed medication. Flashlights and batteries. Power outages are common during a disaster, so reliable light is essential. Manual can opener. You don't want to be stuck with canned food during a disaster with no way to open it.
Everyone should have a whistle and a powered battery radio. The whistle is to signal if you're in trouble, and the radio is to keep us connected if cell services go down.
Remember, you can build this kit over time. Just start with the basics and add as you go on.
Improving community resilience together.
This is a message from IMCOT.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Dr. and Call, and in case you joined us late, tonight we're looking at breast cancer awareness, and we spoke earlier about what it is, and of course our telephone lines are open, so we're going to take a call and then we'll get back into our discussion. Dr. and Call, good evening.
Good evening, Doc and host.
Good evening.
Yes, in the previous show you talk about 1,800 laws, hundreds of years. What can we do to speed up the process? Kennedy Roberts has spoken, and the NEC has spoken about universal medicine and health insurance. What can we do to make it sooner than later? Last Sunday, I heard Prime Minister is talking about building a hospital. Yes, but why are people dying of cancer?
Hello? Hello?
Okay.
I'm sorry, but I really, I couldn't understand what the caller was talking about. Let's go back to the telephone. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, Doc, yes, let's go back. Let's speak a little bit about.
I think, in all fairness, I only heard some of what he said, but he was I think he was alluding to prevention, and that's one of the things we have to talk about. He spoke about a hospital. The truth is, we also need different levels of care, and we are coming to this in relation to, do we need a hospital? Yes, we do. Okay. We do need hospitals. Hospitals exist everywhere, all over the world, and have their role in enhancing the quality of life of people, giving people a longer life, treating diseases that present in very acute stages, surgery, whatever therapy a person may need. Okay? Sometimes hospitals are just used for respite. Mental hospitals, for example, a person who's mentally ill can ask, can I come for a week? I know I'm going to fall apart. I know I'm not doing well. So hospital has a space. And the truth is, our services is lacking. Our services are lacking in, when it comes to the technology that's available and all the rest. So we're not going to fight that. What we want to do, however, is we as citizens of Grenada, we need to get together and figure out that we have to use the primary care services. We talked about our nutrition, we talked about our lifestyle, getting up and exercising, not drinking, not smoking, and all the things that put us at risk, right? But we also need the other leverage that's going to move to, which is screening. Screening is available at primary care. Primary care includes the health centers and whoever your primary care physician is. Okay? So you can go to the health center and ask nurse can you examine my breast? You can learn to examine your own breast, because most lumps in the breast are diagnosed, are encountered, are caught, okay, by somebody, by the owner of the breast or by their partners. Mm-hmm. So if we understand how our breast function, what the lumps mean, so self-breast examination, learning how to examine your breast, how to interpret what's there is very, very important. Beside that, there's also clinical breast examination, where somebody who's trained, like a nurse or your doctor, right, will perform an exam on you. If you feel something that you don't know what it is, you go to a higher level of care. You go to the doctor, you go to the nurse. And then, of course, there's other things like doing an ultrasound, doing a mammogram, doing CAT scan. I was listening to a program with one of my friends in Jamaica, who was mentioning the greatest thing she's seen. She went into this radiologist services that very close to where I used to work. And they have a breast mammogram machine where you don't have to get squeezed, where the breast actually hangs out in a space, right, to the table, and all the investigations, all the technology comes up under. The machinery that's going to take images and stuff is under. So there's no squeezing, there's no pain, and its imaging is very, very on spot, right? But that's going to happen as time go on. We don't have that currently. We do self-breast examination, clinical examination, and then you get a mammogram or you get an ultrasound. That's what we have. And if we still have doubt, we might be able to get an MRI, which is the highest level of radio diagnostics that we have, right? Radiology testing. Okay. Know a couple things when you go to examine your breast. Around your period, the breast is going to get a little denser and a little more tender, and it's going to have more engorgement. You'll feel lumps. Breast is lumpy tissue, okay? Mm-hmm. What are you looking for? You're looking at one solitary lump that feel like it could be very small, because I would like people to be examining their breast so they don't have any big old surprise when they go inside there. They feel like they have a cake of soap inside there. No. I'm saying from very small, you feel something else. You know how damson seed feel? Or plum seed?
Yes.
That kind of texture. It's regular, it's hard, it's almost rude. Stand up in your face like, you think I afraid you? Right? often it's non-tender, but what it does is hold on to all the tissues around it. That's the commonest form. You can have challenges with cancer in the nipples, right? So that's the commonest form where you have this solitary nodule, lump, thing, whatever you call it, right? That's under the breast tissues, pulls the skin so you might see dimpling, makes the skin red. And if it's advanced, you might have a sore, okay? So you have to learn how to examine your breast. What do you do? I said to women, don't do it around your period. And if you pass that, you can do it any day. Don't do it around your period. Do it like a week after your period finishes, when there isn't very much estrogenic or any other hormonal activity. The breast is at risk and preparing itself again just in case the woman should become pregnant. That is a woman in reproductive age. And you have a nice shower, and you can stand in front of the mirror and put your hand over your head, and you use the opposite hand to examine the breast. Or you can lie flat, especially if you have heavy breast tissue, right? And using your 3 fingers, the tip of the 3 fingers, right? Do gentle movement. Guess what? If you find a lump, that's okay. But guess what? If you don't know what it is, go get somebody to look at it. If you're concerned, always take your time and do circular motion around the breast. 1 circle out, 1 circle in till you get to the nipples, right? Don't be afraid. Don't press too hard. And I tell my patients, close your eyes. Because when you close your eyes, you don't have the distraction. You tend to feel better what's there. I teach my patients what are the normal breast lumps that you'd find, like those little fibrosy ones, the one that feel like you have like a cod liver oil capsule under there. That's a cyst. Or sometimes something might feel a little rubbery, like a soft rubber. Those are fibroadenomas. And some of us have a whole lot of those, right? And so that is why it's better not to do your examination around your period time, because there's so much more swelling, you can confuse yourself. Right? And of course, you also want to examine into the armpits to feel if there are any what we call them? Oh gosh, any lumps, any
nodes, and
lymph nodes, right? You don't want to feel if there are any. Sometimes they are, and it has nothing to do with your breast, but still you want to look and see. If you feel a lump and you're suspicious, go find your doctor. You know, sometimes it's very overwhelming and very, it creates fear, okay, to find anything in your breast, right? And even when I'm teaching my patients, I would examine first, and I know there's nothing I want to worry about. But, you know, you ask them, and they say, what is this, doctor? What is this? The more you do it, the more you understand, the more you know what's there. And if you start examining your breast, you would know. But there's other things, just the looking, because you have to look and see before you touch. Are your breasts the same size? Some women have one breast that's heavier than the other, and sometimes the breast from which you breastfeed a lot tends to be a little lower. That you should know. And you would know if you're accustomed to looking. All right? And some, like I said, sometimes you just have a bigger breast, one on the other. All right? Marginally, lift your arm, do the both breasts, do both of them come up at the same time. You know, do both nipples if they were in resting stage. When you lift them up, do they come, or does one breast lag? Okay? Is there any secretions come out of the breast? Is there blood? Is there itchy tissue around the nipple? Do you have a big red lesion on your breast? You know, like when ants bite you and it gets red and spread all over the place, or a bee bite you, right? Does that exist? Do you have a sore, an overt sore, right? Which may mean an advanced stage of cancer. Okay. Women who are breastfeeding might have challenges because, you know, the breast is always engorged and they'll have pain and all the rest of it. But there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong in examining as far as you can. Okay. So, redness, dimpling of the skin, sores, things leaking, the breast looking much bigger than you know it to have been, or very different from the other one, or it doesn't move as the other one moves, or it you can see that there is something in there, right? You can see a bulging. But you would always figure out change if you're accustomed. And that is why we ask women to start early. When you're 25, you know, you start, or even before, but 25 is a good age to start examining your breast, especially since we've seen so many younger women having breast cancer. And we know that the younger women with breast cancer tend to have worse outcomes, okay? They tend to experience death a little earlier than older women. So examination, and then you go look at it and you go to the stuff. But, you know, you have to do that annual examination. You have to do that annual examination where you go and ask a clinical person to check me, see what is going on with me. I just want to do this. If you have access to mammogram and you can do it, we don't do mammograms in women under 40 for obvious reasons. We don't want to press the, but the women, there are ultrasound technicians who are very well trained who can identify lesions. But I can tell you, a CAT scan will be your best bet for identifying those things. So it means you have to go to your doctor, and there are also blood tests that we can do. It is, however, very important that we recognize that long life is gotten from primary care.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we're going to go. You don't wait until you feel something. Say, you know, I'm 50, let me check my breast. No, start early, get accustomed, be friendly with your breast. Don't be afraid, it's yours, okay? Or if you don't want, ask your partner to check and see. You feel anything in my breast? And you may not have the skills, nor may your partner, but you know, you can still go to your clinic, ask a nurse, ask a primary care physician to check to see if there's any swelling of your breast. We talk about hospital. I don't want you to have to be at hospital because we don't want you to be in a state where you're almost ready to pass out. So that's why we don't speak a lot of hospital yet. We speak of working at the primary care level, right? We speak of learning, reading about it, about speaking to other women about the importance of self-breast examination and how breast cancer affects us and our families. My favorite scenario, you're 40, 45, you have 3 children, you're probably a single mother, and you develop breast cancer. What if you have no other support? Who takes care of your adolescent children? How do they get to university? And all the rest of it. And even if you diagnose early, it might be a little better. However, if we diagnose in late, where stage 3 or 4, which means that is way away, the lump is way out of the breast. Often you have lymph nodes involvement, and sometimes you are spread to other organs. Not only does it have a poor outcome or prognosis, it also asks you to consider the fact that you will have to spend more money because the interventions that become necessary often are not here. The medications that you require may cost a whole lot more. All right. So we have to make sure that we, if we're going to have breast cancer, that we can capture it very early, and that is by simply being aware, talking to other people, getting the strength and the fortitude to say, here's something that I probably have control over. Let me deal with it from early.
Mm-hmm. So, okay. Right. So, folks, the number is 435-2041. If you have any questions or you have any comment, you can give us a call. The number again, 435-2041. In the meantime, Doc, let's talk a little bit about, and you didn't mention it, but if we can probably go to some more details. In terms of treatment, well, we know, of course, at some point in the case of breast cancer, surgery is one of the options. But in terms
of all cancer, surgery is, because you want to get rid of that tissue. Right. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. Right? That's going to behave like it don't have no sense. So you want to remove it as fast and as much of it as possible as early. And that is why it's important to have early diagnosis, because you can have early diagnosis and just remove your lump. All right? You can have early diagnosis and just remove the breast tissue and put an implant. So the aesthetic component, because there are other things you have to consider. How I feel about myself without a breast, how I feel about having breast cancer, how does my partner feel about it? My own sexuality, my own appreciation, how my peers accept me, what work am I able to do? What if I did machinery work and now I had to remove all the lymph nodes? I may not be able to engage like that anymore. But femininity is very intimately related to having a breast, having 2 breasts, right? They're very bold women who don't have a problem saying, hey, I've had my both breasts removed and with shows. There's a young woman here who I really appreciate the fact that she's been open about educating other women. That is okay. It's okay to remove the breast tissue, okay? if all of the breast tissue, if you choose to do so, if you have cancer. So treatment does invariably include surgical intervention. Nobody is going to tell you that you don't need surgery. You have to remove the lung. Okay? Nobody's going to tell you. One of the other things that we have is a lot of health fairs around, especially now, where in breast cancer awareness month, it's just awareness. Okay, breast cancer is always there. It doesn't just come and show itself in October. Just that we know that this happens. That there are lots of health fairs, and often there are opportunities. If you don't know how to screen, if you don't know how to examine yourself, just go. Somebody there will teach you and perform your breast examination for you. Okay? So that's one of the things. Every health center, every government health facility knows that women should be invited to have their breast examined. The nurses, that's their responsibility, especially in this month. There's only one place that does mammogram, and they are offering discounts on mammogram. A mammogram is still very relatively expensive. If you can't afford it, it's a good sacrifice. Okay. Also, apart from the programs like this where we talk about health, about breast cancer a lot, we have had a series of community engagements where you have walks. As a matter of fact, there are 2 walks that are going to happen. One walk with Pink Ribbon. Pink Ribbon Society is the agents is that group that focuses on breast cancer specifically. That is and it's part of a global movement. They have a walk on the 27th. That's Sunday the 27th at 4:00, starting at Cameron Park, and they're going to walk to the Tantine netball court. Okay, people are invited. They're going to have T-shirts all this weekend, and Grenada and Optical is one of the places to get your T-shirts. And that T-shirt is ready to remind you every time you put on your T-shirt that I still need to focus on breast cancer, that I'm in solidarity with women who have had breast cancer and men. Okay, it just reminds us that this is something that's in our presence all day. That is what awareness is about, to remind ourselves that this is always around, and we're going to try our best to conquer it. Especially going to try our best to conquer death from diseases that we can prevent by simply being able to diagnose early. And then there's another, that's the 27th, Sunday the 27th. There's another walk that's, and I'm inviting people who live along the route and who don't live along the route to join, because they're going to have discussions. They're going to get their opportunities for screening. So the people at St. Andrew Development Organization have breast cancer screening at the St. Andrew Methodist School on October 26th that's a Saturday?
Mm-hmm. 26th,
right,
yes.
From 10:30 a.m. All right? They will have they have a screening on that day, right? And then after that, from 3:00, they will walk from the playing field into the Sote's bus terminal. All right? That's their walk. And they also have T-shirts that is available at, Lord, give me a number, but I can't remember it. 449-9399. Just call for your thing. And they'll be doing that in relation to the St. Patrick Organization for Development. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And their theme is that together we're stronger. Basically, the more we get together, the more we can support each other, the more we can encourage each other, and the more we can encourage each other to prevent death and loss and family dislocation, and our children in particular suffering as a result of breast cancer, that once we diagnose early, we can save. So they're going to walk from Plains to Sotes, and that's an invitation for the people up in the north. Go out and show your numbers and feel a little less anxious. There's an opportunity to ask questions. The screening they're going to do in collaboration with Women in Medicine, which is a group of St. George's, a group within St. George's University Medical School. Women in Medicine, that is, they focus a lot on diseases that affect women, especially like cervical and breast cancer. So they would be working along with the St. Andrew Development Organization group on the 25th to ensure that people get a chance to have breast examinations. But it's also a place to go and ask questions, because I'm sure I haven't answered all the questions, and I can't. So those are the big things happening. Read, get on your phone. You know, my favorite thing, get on your phone. Read about it. World Health Organization will give you a lot of information. But places like Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, those people who have a lot of education, the CDC, right? National Institutes of Cancer, National Cancer Institute, NCI, they have a lot of information that is written for us, ordinary people, so we can understand, okay? And there's also the cancer platform, Caribbean Cancer Platform here, who's doing that talk with Dr. Matthias on Thursday. But Caribbean Cancer, on the platform, there's a lot of information, not only about breast cancer, but about all cancers. But you can get breast cancer, and you could put information and ask questions, and they will be answered, okay? Talk to your doctor, talk to anybody, talk to a nurse. And guess what? There's no question that's too stupid. And I keep telling people, ask me the stupid questions so I can understand how much you understand or don't understand.
And that's how you learn.
That's how we learn. Because you may think it's a stupid question, but it might be the most correct question, because maybe we have not framed it appropriately for everybody to understand. Okay? So that's where we are in relation to...
Doc, someone is asking, and it's kind of... Okay, well, let me take this one first. Is there a cure for fibrosis breast or fibrosis of the breast? I'm not sure.
So fibrosis of the breast is really like tissue gets, as you get older, the tissue gets harder. And sometimes when you have a lot of inflammatory challenges, like you have fibroadenomas and stuff, right? They're uncomfortable, but they're not cancerous lesions. So I guess when you stop having periods and stop having that kind of hormonal in impact on the breast tissue, you may not feel as much pain and discomfort. Okay? Sometimes you have large fibromas that are really discomforting, and that you can remove by surgery, but that's not cancer.
Right. So someone is also asking, well, first they said, good night, Doc. You look very nice in your glasses, and it fit you.
Thank you.
Right.
And I'm then, also seeing, okay?
Yeah, and the question is, I want to know what medication you can take if you have menopause, and it's giving you many symptoms such as stomach palpitation, anxiety, panic attack, aches all over your body, bloated, and stomach congestion, and it's acting up in your head.
Well, I'm sorry. I hope it's not you having it, okay? But hear me. And those are extreme cases, huh? People who have really bad hormonal experiences. They stand up and all of a sudden you see them get hot, and even if they're dark skin, they look red, because there's just so much flushing because of the body's inability to control that temperature management, okay? So sometimes we have nutritional impacts. So there are supplements, evening primrose oil, St. John's wort. You can give them medications for anxiety if that is what predominates. You can give them, sometimes they need medications if they have severe psychotic experiences. So sometimes regular medication can treat the symptoms, okay, or the entity that exists with it. All right. We hope that as soon as possible, the person will be over the symptoms of the menopause. Some women go through menopause, go through the premenopause, because once your period stop, you're done, okay? But some women go through the long period, and there are women who long after the period start may start having symptoms again with the hot flashes and all the rest of it. And they have things that they use in the health food stores, and I don't know all of this. I'm not going to pretend that I know, and because I don't have any evidence, I would not tell you to use it. But we talked earlier about hormone replacement. In people who know that they're going crazy as a result of it, who really have difficulty, you may have hormone replacement therapy. Not for very long. Your doctor will monitor you well and see, if he tapers it out and you can manage. But you can be given hormone replacement therapy, not across the board like we did many years ago.
Okay,
I hope
wonderful.
that answers her question.
Right. Someone else is asking, and this one is probably a little off from the discussion, but they would like to know what is the best treatment for heat rash.
For what? Heat rash?
Yeah.
So heat rash is really like the skin getting inflamed because it's just so hot. So keep it in a cool place, and probably talk what we call corn heats, where the thing come up like you walk through a cornfield, and all the prickles on the corn just come and stick onto your body. And it happens when you get very, very hot. Keeping cool, staying in a cool place. Sometimes you just have to remain still. But sometimes mild steroids help to remove the inflammation. If you have a baby, you can put like cornstarch on his skin and stuff. If you don't have to go to school, if you don't have to go to work, you can use calamine lotion and stuff, and that will help. Because that is also a very self-limiting thing. But I've had to use a mild steroid, and it does help. You get relief quickly, and you don't have to use it for a prolonged period.
Okay, wonderful indeed. All right. Well, so far for the questions that we had. So we spoke about.
There's one other thing I wanted to speak about in relation to diagnosis.
Sure.
There are what we call markers, cancer marker tests that can be done, blood tests that can be done, right, to show the levels of these markers in your bloodstream. So your doctor might also want to do that for you if he's suspicious. You could just ask to have it done. And of course, we talked about genetic screening. If you've had family, maybe you'd want to. If you've had family with cancer, with breast cancer, maybe you'd want to see, especially if you've had a lot of people in your family. And like I said, even if it is your father's family, because we tend to think it's just our mothers. Even if it's your father's family, it is important that you be able to screen and screen with the knowledge that I'm probably at risk. Okay.
All right, wonderful. Well, folks, if the number is still open, the phone is open. The number is 435-2041. We're getting close to wrap-up time, though, but we do have time to take a couple calls. So if you have any questions you would like to ask at this time, you can do so. The number again, 435-2041. Doc, in the meantime, maybe we can just do a quick summary of the discussion as it relates to the awareness and of course the importance of
and we need to talk
prevention.
About men. Let's talk about men before we go back to the women. Men, breast cancer is possible for you, and it can be equally fatal, especially since you do not expect it to happen. So if you're bathing, every so often, take your fingertips and go around the breast tissue. If you find a lump in there, it makes sense to deal with the lump that you encounter, to find somebody, to go to your doctor and ask them to look at this and have, if it's necessary, have a biopsy and diagnose yourself early. Because that cancer is going to behave like how breast cancer in a female occurs, okay? It's very rare, but it is very possible. We don't want to have our men dying of breast cancer. We've had enough challenges with our females. So, I think we've come a long way from talking about the big C and then pointing to where it is, and we can talk freely about it. I think we have to make as far and as wide as possible a cross-section of our population aware, because this is something that's going to affect us across the lifespan, okay? In different ways. So it will affect your children and your grandchildren by losing you. It will affect their quality of life, okay? If you're the income, and even if you're just a mother with your father there, right? It will with the children's father there, it's going to affect how your family life responds or is run as from there. We don't want to lose our mothers, our children to lose their mother, or even our adults losing their mothers to breast cancer, which we know we can diagnose early. Yeah, there's some aggressive forms and some forms that are very difficult to diagnose, right? Like the inflammatory kind. You have to have a high index of suspicion. Okay, you have to have a high index of suspicion. You have to feel that, I'm not giving up until I figure out what is this, especially the ones in the nipples and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So tell your doctor, no, keep looking. I just have a feeling, right? I've had two friends whom I know, two women who I know relatively well, who despite all the efforts ended up having relatively advanced stage breast cancer because they didn't have the type that we have where we have lumps. There's inflammation, and then there's Paget's disease, which happens in the nipples. So once you feel, no, I don't feel very good about it, insist that your caregiver, your health caregiver, goes to the utmost end. Sometimes it means just being sent to the surgeon and let him look. As far as possible, it may cost you a little, but as far as possible, ensure that you exhaust the diagnostic facilities, the diagnostic modalities that can help us to figure out whether or not. And it comes to something here that we need to talk about, because sometimes the expenditure, we should not get poor from seeking health care. It's kind of unethical from a health standpoint. And one of the things that we need to advocate for is that we have a national health insurance, our national health services that provide equity. So if I were the lady who cleans the office and I have 6 children, I live in a 2-room board house, or if I'm the person who lives in one of the stush places and I make $250,000 a year and I drive a BMW and I have a chauffeur, my children go to France and Europe for holidays. We must have equal access to care. That is based, one, on what our needs are, right? And the fact that we have that right, because health is a right for everybody, right? Everybody has a right to good health care. But we also have among ourselves as population to advocate for those things. Everybody has to say, hey, we deserve this, right? And inform the people who make policy and the people who develop systems that, look, this is what it is. We as caregivers have a responsibility to ensure that we not only educate our population, but that we learn how to examine properly, that we try and diagnose as early as possible all our female and male patients, especially our female patients, that this is a discussion that we hold, not only in October Breast Cancer Month, but every time. A good time for a woman to get her breast examination is when it's her birthday month. You don't forget.
Right.
Right. And and may not be in a private setting. It could be in a public setting, in a setting that they can access without compromise. Okay. So we have to make sure that women are encouraged. They must be educated. They must have information. Most of what we say here tonight may be forgotten, but people remember some of what we say. Right? And that's what we want them to act on. Always act on it. And you know a mantra. You learn one thing tonight and you implement it into your life. Tonight you're going to learn that you need to learn to examine your breast. You do it monthly, and that if you're concerned, go see somebody. Sometimes I know it reeks fear. Okay, it's a very fearful thing. But cancer does not necessarily mean death.
Right.
Unless you hang out with it for a long time. Okay. I also want a woman to look at the risk factors and see how much risk do I carry. Okay. What is the risk in my family? Am I drinking? Am I smoking? What kind of lifestyle I have? Have I had children? All the things. The fact that I'm a woman already put me ahead of the pack to have cancer. If my auntie and them, my sister, my cousins have had cancer, I'm still further up on the pack. So we must seek information to understand what cancer means and the fact that no one is immune. I've had women tell me, one lady in town one day, we were doing screening, and she told me, that can't catch me. Yes, it can catch anybody, right? She's saying of her immunity. But that's not necessarily true. We don't know who is immune to cancer because we still don't know what makes you get breast cancer and that your sister doesn't.
Yeah.
We don't know what makes me get breast cancer and my best friend doesn't, even if we have the same risk factors hanging around us. So everybody is at risk as far as we see, and everybody needs to be aware of what is going to trigger or what can cause you, what can be the factors that you have, and the fact that you have to go screening, pull the curtain, pull the screen, and look and make sure it's not there. And sometimes you may not see something this year, but in 6 months' time, you feel something coming up. That's good because in 6 months' time, you have been looking. You're still examining yourself to make sure that you're on top of this. You want to be on top of everything. And yes, even in an environment where we have a lot of things to be on top of, the economy, safety, whatever it is, factors with your children giving trouble, your grandchildren have been left in your care and you're really not managing very well. You don't have a job or you just lost your job or you have challenges at work. Whatever it is, you and your pastor don't get along. It doesn't really matter. You have to keep this one thing in your mind that I'm at risk and I'm not ready to die by this. Okay? Your safety is a lot related to your own will to keep yourself healthy. And of course, know that if you have a lump or if you have cancer, there is going to be a trajectory. There's going to be a road. One of the agencies I forgot to mention was faith-based organizations, the church, and to which most of us attend, that needs to come in and support women and encourage them to have their breast examined and to stay away from the things that cause us that put us at greater risk. Okay? And offer facilities. Sometimes you don't have to have a health center, a health clinic, but you probably can offer your yard, your churchyard, when the mobile unit comes around. The other thing is that people need to support. We as women need to support the agencies that support women with cancer. Pink Ribbon wants it. The Cancer Society wants it. SEDO, SPOD, which is St. Patrick's Organizational Development, Organizations Development, whatever it is, SPOD, SPOD. We need to get into groups, and the women in the church, you go to a prayer group or you the women's organization. Those are things we need to bring up as important to us and seek. You may find that Sister Jane, who sits in the back not talking, really just worried about someone she found in her breast 2 weeks ago, and she don't know how to do it. We have to be there. We have to support each other. We have to support each other.
Very important.
Right? If my neighbor develops a lump, maybe she wants somebody to come to the doctor with her. Or maybe I just need to, when she goes for her to do a CAT scan or she goes to do whatever, change her wound and make some food for her children. I make a pot of soup. I cook some, whatever it is, right? So that her children, when she comes home, she doesn't have to, and probably can't strain her arms anyway, but she doesn't have to do that. We have to live in a community that supports each other and supports each other towards best of the wellness that we can. Because the things that can happen will likely happen and will be worse for us if we don't look. So encourage one another, especially the women who are survivors. They're the best people to talk to because you see a strength and a resilience and a love and a desire to ensure that other women are not facing the same fate that they do.
All right.
All right. Oh. Chemotherapy is hard. It's one way. It's when you get tablets or medications in your vein. It's hard. It's very hard. It can be expensive. And also the other level of treatment after surgery and chemo is radiotherapy. We don't have radiotherapy on island, and that is usually related for people that's usually reserved, for people that have stage 3 and stage 4, which is far relatively advanced cancer. So we don't want to have to do that. If it's going to come, make me catch it when in stage 1. I can take off the lump and I'm good. Right? Know that you still have to follow up. And there's nothing to be afraid of but fear. Okay? Stay away from fear as much as we can because we have to survive this. We as women and as a Grenadian people are going to have to support each other and make sure that there are facilities that will show us, not just hospital and stuff, just the opportunities for women to be able to screen, for them to feel free to talk about it, for them to express their fears, for them to go and get whatever therapy they require, and knowing that their communities are going to support them towards wellness as far as that is possible. We shall not die from breast cancer.
Yes, indeed. Well, Doc, that's all the time we have for tonight. I'm looking forward to continue our discussion next Tuesday. And
so remember those 2 walks before we go on. The 2 walks, we have breast cancer walks. We have one on the 27th, which is a Sunday, with Pink Ribbon. Pink Ribbon is going to collaborate with the Grenada Realtors Association, people who sell house and land and those kind of stuff. They collaborate on the Pink Ribbon. And this is from Cameron Park to the Canteen netball court, right? That starts at 4. And then they'll have a little candlelight ceremony and, sing some songs and share some words and pray and stuff. And the other one is on the 26th, which is a Saturday, starting at 10 o'clock in the morning. That SADO will have their screening at St. Andrew's Methodist Church, right? And they will collaborate with SGU, with St. George's University, and specifically Women in Medicine. And after that, at 3 o'clock, they walk from Plains to Satyr's bus park, I think. So please go there. Just go. Be part of it. Understand it's light. It's usually fun. And you get an opportunity to ask questions and be informed. And to, not... I probably sound like I'm a naysayer and making it negative. The truth is, our side is the reality of it and could seem dark. We would like to see that our women who develop breast cancer all turn up at stage 1 so that we can save lives. There are women who are currently survivors 30, 35, 40 years simply because they were diagnosed very early. And you need to meet them and talk to them so they can tell you, don't sit down and if you find it, do not sit on it. Go because it's not going to stop.
Yes, indeed. Well, folks, thank you very much for staying with us. Your questions, your comments, we thank you very much. And, of course, we look forward to being with you again next Tuesday for another edition of Doctor and Call. Doc, thank you so very much. It's always a pleasure. And I look forward to doing this again next Tuesday. No,
but in the interim, remember, there's still dengue.
Yes.
Let me remind you.
Yes.
Please protect yourself from mosquito bites by eradicating mosquitoes around you, and of course killing out those black and white mosquitoes. Right? Cover yourself, cover your children, and if you feel that you may have been affected, go get your dengue test done. Go to your doctor. Right? Especially our children who can't express how badly they feel, and our seniors. Those 2 risk groups that are likely to have more severe disease and to experience and to have death coming from dengue, because dengue is potentially fatal. There's still COVID, not as much, but there's still COVID. So if you're having respiratory symptoms that you're not too sure what's going on, go get a COVID test. And if you have a cold, please take care of it so you don't develop pneumonias. And there is some forms of influenza that are around, so be careful. Okay? It's a good time to wear a mask. Our mask. The truth is, the change in season, we see all kind of foolishness, viruses come up and everything. And there's one other thing. What's the other thing we were talking about last week?
There was the issue of the gastro, and so it's still
and gastro.
So, yes.
So, where I live, the river runs alongside the road, right? And it rained for about 40 minutes this morning, and the river just went tumbling down.
Yes.
I was driving through River Road, and I realized, oh my goodness, the water level had increased, because I pay attention to that every day, right? It wasn't tumbling like it did a week and a half ago, but the water level had increased, taking with it all the silt. We have really denuded our river banks, cut down the trees, cut down the stuff that hold back the water. So a lot of our healthy soil is going down into the sea, and the sea don't need no soil.
That's
okay?
Right.
So please remember, boil your water, boil your water, boil your water. All right? And protect yourself from mosquitoes by whichever means you can. Thank you, and have a wonderful week.
Yes, thank you, Doc, and do have a good night yourself. Thank you, folks. That's all the time we have. I'll be with you tomorrow evening from 6 to have a good night. All the best.
As